I must break you.
Come get it!
It's time, Michael.
I will do what I must.
You will try.
Final round.
You're going down.
Oh, no way. There we go.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Reel Hunting, where we hunt for the good reels so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad, the Brett Man's over here. We got an awesome guest with us today, Chris Snyder down below, right there, and it's Slash It Freaking Out time, man.
That's right.
And we're excited to have Chris on as our moderator today, who selected these. He actually selected these movies for us. So why don't you tell him a little bit about it, Chris?
So today we're going to be putting the first Saw movie against the first Collector movie. Now, these are two films that I both adore, so I'm literally the middleman here. I'm going to be very torn, and there's a lot of similar elements with both of these films, so I think it's going to be fun pinning them up against each other for sure.
Totally. I am defending Saul. I won the coin toss there from a couple weeks back, and I said, you know what? I got to go with Saul in this one, Bert. And he said, you know what? That's okay, because I like the Collector, so it worked out kind of nicely. So we're pretty jacked to get into it, and it was a fun trip down memory lane. Watching Collector again. Haven't seen it since it came out. Really enjoyed it. Saul as well is one of my favorites from the 2000s era, and I've seen that one 1,000 times before. But it was always fun watching that one again. Yeah. So it's gonna be a good time. We're ready to rock and roll with it. Brett, you pumped about it or what?
Dude, I'm so jacked up. I'm ready to collect the victory.
Oh.
Get out of town, dude.
I saw what you did there.
Oh!
You can say you're putting the pieces together like a jigsaw.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
I can't.
Let's skip all these crazy puns. How about we turn to our tail to tape?
Let's do that. All right,
let's go to our tail of the tape.
Okay.
All right, so Chris, what do you see immediately from these numbers?
Well, I see that the critics and audience scores weren't exactly in these movies' favors too much. I mean, just look at the Collector. The critics score 29%, which it's okay. It's a critic score. But the audience score at 48%, I really think that, this should be a little bit higher. I mean, I think the Collector's a pretty underrated movie. Saw with an 84% audience score. That one I understand. That one I understand for sure. But just look at this budget here. The budget of the Saw was $1.2 million, right? So it was a very small budget, right? You know what I mean? Well, at least for Hollywood standards. But it ended up making $56 million. No wonder there was 8 sequels after that. I mean, come on. And then the Collector did all right. It budget it made its money back and just a little bit of extra change left to spare. So, yeah.
Absolutely. One thing I'd like to, I guess the critics weren't too fond of James Wan's first couple outings. With Death Sentence had a pretty low score too, and this one actually, for what it is kind of higher than I would expect. But then when you kind of go and look back at it, it's like it's actually a really well made movie. It's got low budget, all written all over it, of course, but I mean it's still solid. And it's got some great stuff going on there. The critics, again, for the Collector, I don't think that's that bad for what it is. I mean, it's a movie about the Collector, collecting souls and trapping people and stuff. And so 29, I don't think it's horrible. I am a little surprised by the audience score over there, though. But yeah, you pointed out the budget stuff. It is interesting,
right?
Just to see the difference there.
Yeah, critics are always hard on horror movies anyway. So for like these numbers from the critics on the Rotten Tomato score, I'm not really surprised. But the audience score for The Collector, I am surprised because I really enjoyed the hell out of the movie because of its unique concepts and everything. And I'm ready to defend it today with the budgets and all that. Not surprised by either one. And IMBD is a better representation of what these movies are really about.
I would agree with that for sure.
Got that right, Stan. I don't know about the. I am surprised with the. I didn't realize it only made 7.7 million. I figured it would have made a little bit more than that. The Collector, but it is what it is. They still made a second one, so they must have been pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
With a third one on the way too.
Yeah, third one on the way. And I just felt like people just didn't know what to expect from the movie. Like when they saw like a trailer or whatnot. So they probably that's why it's like the 7.7 million, just because they just really didn't understand it. Like versus like Saw, they completely understood it, like with the trailer and all that and the promoting. So but yeah, again, I'm excited, ready to defend this movie to the best of my ability, and I think we should get to it.
Let's get to it, my friend.
All right, so Chris, this is the part of the show where you are fully in control, and the floor is yours.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say that I know usually in a Slash It Out, most of the time there's usually a question about the music or the score. We're not doing that today because can we just all agree that Saw would probably dominate that round?
I think that's without question.
I don't think that would have been fair to the Collector, so we're gonna not even question the music here. But let's start off. Both of the films have sort of a smaller, simpler, and more basic type story plot, right? So tell me why the story and the plot for your film works better for you.
Okay, and who do you want to go first?
Whoever wants to. Brad, go first.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I think that's exactly why both of these movies are as intriguing as they are, because they're very small scale. Which is awesome. I think it works better in Saul's favor here because it's like something. It's a puzzle for the audience, right? From the get go, the very first scene of the movie, you're thrown into the action here. You got two dudes chained to some pipes in this really nasty bathroom, and they're just figuring things out, and you're there figuring things out with them as the time goes on, as the plot progresses, if you will. And I think that's great. It's almost like taking the audience through an escape room. You're going through there and you're like, these little clues are popping up. It's like, oh, yeah, X marks a spot, follow your heart, all this stuff. And just one thing after another is just building and building, building. And then it gets to the point where Dr. Gordon realizes who Jigsaw is, and you can see in his eyes, and it cuts to some of his previous victims. And it's like, these guys are in deep shit right here, and we don't even know it yet. And obviously it keeps progressing. You get more, the plot thickens as things goes on. You realize that Lee Winnell, Adam, has actually he knows of Dr. Gordon and all this from their previous encounter, or from him following him around. And I just think that's cool the way it unfolds. And you get all these little side stories with Detective Singh and Detective Tapp and their journey, and that just kind of adds a little bit of hope parallel to this, that maybe these guys are going to get rescued, and it just, yeah, it's a great overall. It's a perfectly written thrill ride, I think, and just an awesome puzzle for the audience to go through and try to figure out the clues of on their own.
Mm-hmm. Great point, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the reason that my movie worked for me too, just with like how unique the story is, because we've never seen really a home invasion movie before, where where the bad guy like comes into the home and just does the usual thing. But this time around, the villain actually traps the family within the house, like, and create one big booby trap, which is, I feel like, it's never done before. And then we combine the story of Arkin, who's trying to make money for his wife and his child. Yeah, and and it's just like Arkin is just kind of like he's not a bad guy, but he does bad things, but for the right reasons. Again, just to support his daughter and his wife. And just like to combine that along with a unique house invasion movie, I feel like the story works great. We get to test Arkin's like his morals in this story, especially like saving the family's daughter, like the younger daughter, not the freaking rebellious daughter. Just wants to put on a show for everything. So I this story really fits better for me than what Saw did.
That makes sense. And yeah, we'll talk about the characters a little bit later, but you're absolutely right. Like Arkin, he's a criminal. He's a nice guy, but he's technically a criminal, right? He's doing all these crimes and stuff, and the whole reason he goes to the house is for a burglary. And then with Saw, when you start the movie, you don't really know who these guys are. So yeah, it's definitely much more like a jigsaw puzzle there. So when it comes to that, they might seem similar on the surface, but there's more going on with both films for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of characters a little bit, both films have a pretty small cast. Like, neither of these movies have quite like a big number of characters in the film. So tell me why your film has the better set of characters as a whole.
Okay, well, with me, I just felt like my main character is more likable, like because like in Saul, those two characters, yeah, you can maybe like Dr. Gordon a little bit, but like they're pretty shady people. Like they do bad things, which I know Brad's probably thinking, well, Arkin's done some bad things, yeah, but he's like doing them for the right reasons. I feel like the two characters in Saul don't do what they're doing for the right reasons. So that's why I was gravitating towards the Collector on that. And of course, the iconic villain of the Collector is so unique, and we really got to focus on both of these characters within the house and like how smart they are, how like resourceful they are, and just like smaller cast means like you could just focus more on characters, and we got to dive into the family very well, and like they're not the perfect family. Like it shows like within the house of how they're not. And just to combine all that together, just like mainly focusing on 6 people. We only focus on like Arkin's wife and daughter, just a hair, just kind of like we know like what's going on there. Just like you could tell an easy story with that. So I feel like my characters really did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, the characters themselves did a fine job in Collector, but at the end of the day, your main villain there is literally breaking into this dude's house, and the guy's been good to him, Mikey. He was like freaking, he was nice to him. He's like, oh, here's a little bit extra for your daughter and all this. He's a nice guy, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just plotting to freaking burglarize your ass. But at the end of the day, I get why. I mean, they did a decent job of building up why he's doing these things, building his motive. I would have liked to see them build up a little bit more, kind of like they did in Don't Breathe. Whenever you had Rocky going into the house, she's like, she had a clear cut motive, and you could get behind that. And then, she met the blind guy. But we'll get more into that. Overall, I think he's fine, and he does redeem himself totally in the movie. But it's still, I would have liked to see a little bit more leading up to his decision. But going on to the Saul side of things, yeah, they are shady for sure. But I like it because it creates mystery, because it was a conscious decision to not know much about these guys at the beginning, right? So once they're introduced, like you really don't know anything about them. You find out through dialogue that Dr. Gordon is a surgeon, and you still don't know much about Adam. And as the movie goes on, it's a part of the plot learning about these guys, because they're learning about each other as this goes on. We don't really know anything more about one of the people than the other dude in the room does, and I think that's excellent. That adds intrigue, and that adds excitement to the story and whatnot. And then you have freaking Donald Glover in there, Danny Glover, sorry, and as Detective Tapp, and he's the guy that's always on the hill. You got Detective Singh in there as well. Again, that just creates a nice little parallel story for them. And I think their story is pretty intriguing too. It's one of the most tense moments of the movie whenever they go to confront Jigsaw and they find his little lair there, and it's just, yeah, I think it works really well.
Both great points, gentlemen. One thing I will add, excuse me. One thing I will add is in Arkin's defense, they give you pretty clear reason of like Arkin is, yeah, he's going into this house. He's going to go steal this like diamond or whatever, but he's doing it to save his wife or ex-wife. I don't remember if they were.
Yeah, like I wasn't clear on that one.
Yeah,
like, exactly.
But like he's doing it, so her and his daughter could get away from all these loan sharks, stuff like that. So his morals are in the right place for sure. But at the end of the day, yeah, he is still a criminal. And like again, As for Adam and Dr. Gordon, we don't know who these guys are. We figure that out as we go along. So, yeah, definitely both put up good points for sure.
Yeah, I see Arkin. I see his, like, again, his morals are there, and you see that later in the movie, and that's good. I like the redemption period there. The only problem I had with it is just his justification for doing it was a little bit over convoluted. You got these loan sharks coming in. It's like, what is this? And then there's another dude that comes in who's not related to the loan sharks, and he's like, well, now you gotta do this for me tonight. And it's like, just stick to one of these and give me a justification, a simple, clear cut. Like you said, you don't even know if it's his wife, his ex-wife, whatever the relationship is. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you know his daughter's there and he's doing that for her. But I would have liked to see a more simple reason because in Don't Breathe, it's very simple. Yeah, she's just in a shitty environment and she's trying to get a better life for her daughter, and you can get behind that. It's very relatable. But yeah, that's really the only thing. It wasn't Arkin himself that I hated. I thought his redemption was nice and whatnot, but I just would have liked to see a little bit more story fleshed out there at the beginning.
That's fair. That's totally fair. So yeah, talking about how these characters are so flawed, our main characters that we're following, they're kind of not the best human beings, right? At least on the surface, there's a lot more to them than meets the eye. So these characters are very flawed individuals. So what is it about your main character's flaws? So for Saw, it would be Adam and Dr. Gordon. Let's focus on them. And then with the Collector, it would obviously be Arkin. What has it about those characters' flaws that has you still invested in them and still rooting for them, even though they are flawed characters?
Well, with Arkin, his main flaw is just kind of like the way that he's following his morals. He's a family man and he's willing to do whatever it takes to, provide for his family. But he is a burglar, and a burglar, it's just it's not a really great thing to do. It's not the right way to go about things. But again, that's just the best way that he knows how to take care of his family because, we see early on, he's a really good burglar. If you're good at something,
never do it for free.
Yeah, never do it for free and pursue. Yeah, and pursue it. So that is the main. That's the main flaw of Arkin, and there's also it shows conflict in the movie too. Should I really be helping this family, or should I just get that big old jewel and get the hell out of there? Which he almost really did. But when he saw that very young daughter of theirs, everything clicked for him. I'm like, oh, what I'm doing is wrong. I gotta make it up to myself, and I could start by saving this daughter.
Yeah. So in Saul, it kind of goes back to the mystery of the two from the beginning, because you see these guys meet each other, and then they're at odds with each other at the beginning. They're still not trusting each other, and then as you learn more about them, they kind of form a little bit of a relationship. I don't know if it's a friendship, but they're willing to work together, and they kind of start to build that, and they're starting to work together as a team, and you see them kind of come together, and then you kind of see them. Obviously, the name of the trap of the Saw, Jigsaw's goal, if you will, is to have these flawed individuals have an awakening, oh man, it's time to be more grateful to be alive, and you kind of see that, especially with Dr. Gordon, as his kind of story goes on throughout the movie. You see how desperate he becomes to kind of save his family there at the end. And when he totally, whenever his wife calls him and he's like, oh, you failed. And then they have that scuffle and the gunshot goes off. That's the best part of Dr. Gordon's performance here, is he freaking loses it at that point. And he just, and you can see that, maybe he's realized, some of the dumb mistakes that he's made in the past, and he's ready to change, to turn a new leaf, if you will. And, it took all this for him to realize how grateful he is for his family. And you could see, he had a good relationship with his daughter already. He's still a decent father, just in a vacuum between him and his daughter and whatnot. And just having that kind of element there is nice too. You can see that, he wants to get back to his daughter and everything. And I think that's important. But ultimately it just comes to a little bit of an awakening for Dr. Gordon. And with Adam, you don't get that quite as much, just because you know even less about him, and he doesn't really have a family, and things going he's just trying to cover himself in peanut butter and have a 15 hooker gangbang.
Call it my need to eat.
No, but he's good, and he's a likable character. I think he's got flaws and whatnot, but he's just living life, man. He's out there taking pictures, and he's doing his thing, and you kind of feel bad for him because he got roped into this just for being hired by TAP. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for me, man.
I just rewatched both of these, but the Collector with Arkin, yeah, he's initially going in there to get the jewel, and then he finds out this family's in trouble, and he knows there's a little girl in the family. The teenager's nowhere to be seen, so he's like, okay, I think the teenager's safe. She's not here. But he's like, oh, the little one, she's in this house somewhere. So obviously he has that connection with her because he has his own daughter to relate to and stuff like that. So he's very hell-bent on saving her life. But I feel like when it comes to the mother and father characters, he kind of just is it just me, or does he just not care as much about those guys, about saving them? Because he's like, okay, I need you to distract this guy so I can go upstairs. It's like, wait a minute. So and then of course with Adam and Dr. Gordon, yes, Dr. Gordon, as the story progresses and as he hears the whole scuffle, be like, Dr. Gordon's time is up, or all that stuff. And it's like, he hears a scruffle and Dr. Gordon gets more desperate. But I feel like at that point it was too little too late. Whereas Arkin, yes, he kind of goes into survival mode a little bit, but I feel like he's like, oh, but to be fair, with the Collector, it's more cut and dry over there. With Saw, the pieces are coming together as you go along. So both of you make very good points for sure on that one.
What I like is what I think is funny about the Collector is with poor Arkin, man. Every time he tells somebody to do something, he tries to save somebody. He says, "Hey, yeah, don't say anything or don't move." They always do the exact opposite of what he tells them to do.
Right.
They
But again, that's a horror movie cliche.
It is.
I just felt bad for him. He's like, "Oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to save you. Don't freak out." And then she starts screaming and runs up the stairs.
Yeah, he even told the cat to shut up, and the cat's like, "Meow." And he's like, "Shut up,
like a
fucking
cat's gonna listen. For sure. So yeah, both of these films, if you guys don't know, this was not really intended to be a Saw prequel, but the idea was thrown around that this was going to be, maybe we could use this as a Saw prequel, stuff like that. So that being said, this film involves booby traps, as we were kind of talking about earlier, and the Saw franchise just in general is known for its traps. So both films involve traps into their story. So tell me why you think you could probably survive the traps in your film over the other.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brad.
Well, it depends on the trap. So if I'm trying to survive the Saw traps here, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, I think, just because of the ones in this one are pretty simple. In the first Saw trap, the first Saw movie, you got obviously Dr. Gordon and Adam. You got the Candle Man. With the flammable substance smeared across his body, and you got the razor thing, and that's pretty much it, I believe. Oh, you got the bear trap thing, which is probably obviously somebody did survive that one, right? So that one's survivable. But with Collector, it's like, I don't know, you just got to pick and choose your routes around the house, because at one point, if you're just trying to get jewels, you're not going to run into any traps. It's only after you realize the traps are there that they're everywhere. So just act like they're not there, and you're good to go. But no, I think Saul's got. I don't know. That's a tough question to see which one you want to survive. I think I would, or which one you could survive easier from, I guess. But yeah, I would say, depending on which trap I'm in, I think that's tough, man. I wouldn't want to be in either one of these situations.
No, you most certainly cannot. But here's the deal with your traps, Brad. You know what you're getting yourself into, because the villain tells you what your trap is and how you can actually escape. While mine, you have no idea what the hell you're getting yourself into. Like the dining room had all those bear traps, which that was my favorite kill of the entire movie. I thought that was great. It was very awesome, unbearable to watch.
Oh, jeez.
And then we also got the knife chandelier thing. I thought that was a great one. And then we got the acid floor, with the cat and all that. And then one of the most underrated traps in the movie is when Jill was grabbing the pair of scissors to defend herself, and then she gets smacked into that spike wall. Yeah, I did not see that coming. That's what I love about this movie. We don't know what we're expecting with all these traps versus Saw. They pretty much giving you like, hey, this is the trap. This is how you get out of it. It's up to you as the individual, whether if you want to get out of this trap or not.
Well, here's the deal. Here's what I like about the Saw traps and it's the simplicity of it. The main trap in Saw is two dudes chained to freaking pipes in a damn escape room, and they got to figure their way out. And it's so awesome just to see the puzzle come together for them to do that. And the two-way mirror and all that. That's fantastic stuff. That's excellent. And it's so simple at the same time. They're just chained to freaking pipes, and they got to find their way out. Super easy. To me, Collector gets as fun as these traps are, and the kills are fantastic. I mean, it's clearly got the best kills, I think, of the two movies. But the traps were a little bit over complex at times. Some of them, some of them are not. Like the fish hooks is simple. There's a couple other little ones that are simple. But like you said, you got freaking acid in there in one room, just freaking chilling on the floor. And then I don't know how he created all these things, but I don't know. He sets these things up faster than Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Because
what if it was Kevin McAllister?
It might be.
We don't know who the guy is, right?
Because it's literally like they were at the house at like 5, presumably. He even worked late. So maybe even after 5, and then they come back maybe 9 o'clock, and all these traps are there, and it's just freaking insane. They're everywhere. They're literally everywhere, and some of them they're constructed to. Jigsaw couldn't come up with some of these traps. The golf club one, I don't even know what happened, but the dude just freaking went flying, and which was awesome. I mean, they're all fun to see. They're all fun traps for the viewer to check out. But when you start to look at them, it's like, yeah, I don't know what happened to that girl, dude. She freaking grabbed the knife and she sailed into the into the thing. Yeah, I mean, these traps were everywhere. Again, they were fun, but I like the more simplistic approach, I think, for the story when you're talking about the story. But these are fun to look at.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you guys were saying, it pretty much depends on the trap. One's in like this abandoned building somewhere, and then the other one's just bunch of smaller ones all over the house. So again, with Saw, yeah, he does explain to you, he's like, okay, this is how you survive. You're pretty much just in one trap. If you survive it, you're probably gonna be good. But the thing with the Collector is, if you survive one of the Collector's traps, you still don't know if you're gonna make it out of that house alive, because there's something around every freaking corner. So it just, again, it all depends. But yeah, so both films primarily take place in one location, right? With the Collector, it's in the house mainly, and then with Saw, it's mostly in the bathroom. I mean, you cut back to like the police station, stuff like that, what's happened, Sing over there. But let's focus on the bathroom for Saw. So the bathroom for Saw and the house for the Collector. Tell me which of your film's main location worked better in service of the story that your film was telling.
Excellent question.
Yeah, I would say easily mine, just because here's the thing I thought about on the second watch. What is like one of the most comfortable place, like Chris, if you ever feel like you're in danger and you need a safe spot, where would you go to?
Probably go home.
Exactly. But in my movie, that gets taken away from the family. So the place that they're ultimately called safe is no longer safe. It's the ultimate death trap. And that's where I feel like the house really fits into this movie. Just kind of like and plus not everything as it seems outside the house versus within the house, especially with the family. And just like to explore everything within that house, with the lighting of the house, the dark tone of the house, like the Collector has instilled upon this family, and just the atmosphere. I just thought it was as perfect as you can go. And plus, I love when horror movies turn to things that we feel safe and comfortable with and just do a complete 180 on.
I'm going to go with the bathroom here because it is foreign. I think that's a little bit more frightening for me, is because it's like, you wake up here, you have no idea how you got here. The lights are out. Okay. The lights are out. Okay. My leg's chained to something. Oh, what's this going on here? Okay. The lights come on. Boom, boom, boom. It's this nasty ass, perfectly constructed, perfectly atmospheric bathroom. There's dust everywhere. There's shit everywhere. It's just nasty. It's disgusting. And you can just feel already like, oh gosh, this is gross. But on top of that, not only do they not recognize this bathroom they're in, they have no idea where this bathroom is located at. It could be anywhere. They literally they might not even be in the same city they were in. They have no idea, and that's always been something to me. Like even if you were to get a phone and call somebody for help, there's nowhere you have no idea where you're at. I mean, to me it's terrifying. And whereas and not to mention, let's talk about the atmosphere there a little bit. Like they get this freaking bathroom dust all over them. Like they're covered in white dust throughout the movie. There's freaking shit in the toilet, and he's digging around. Maybe I should have checked in there first. And like it's like, I mean, it's just gross, man. And you feel how gross it is. And then by the time there's a dead dude in the freaking middle, right? So like, I mean, that adds to it. There's blood all over the place. Once Dr. Gordon freaking chops his foot off and rolls across the floor, like he's covered in all kinds of bathroom dust and blood and everything. It's just gross.
Yeah, he's got tetanus for sure. Yeah,
it's not sanitary. It's not sanitary at all. And then you got the camera in there that's watching them the whole time. It's just like, and you can't go anywhere. You're chained to this thing. There's no way out. Like it's such a claustrophobic feel. But you know, on top of that, you have no idea where the heck you're at. You have absolutely zero control in this environment, and I think that's what's a little bit more terrifying. At least in your house, you know your way around, like you know where you're at. There's traps everywhere, but like at the end of the day, you know the house better than the collector does. So like, that's for me. Like, that bathroom is freaking terrifying, man. That's why they keep going back to it.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a Taco Bell bathroom, if you know what I mean.
Damn enchiladas.
Damn enchiladas.
Damn enchiladas. I got Taco Deluxe Supreme talking back at me. All right. But yeah, again, both great points. Brett, as you were saying, like the place you probably feel the most safest at is at your home, right? And to have that taken away from you, yeah, it's a scary thought. However, I think I'm going to side with Brad on this one here because, again, the whole idea of Saw is the whole thing's a jigsaw puzzle, right? You wake up in this room, you have no idea. Like, because I feel like, you know, with the collector, he could have done that anywhere. You know, that could have, as we'll see in like the next one, he does it in like a bigger building. And then the third one, it looks like it's going to be a police station. Like you could do that pretty much at any location. But with Saw, I feel like, yeah, you wake up and you're in this dirty bathroom. But again, there's more than meets the eye to it. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, which is the whole purpose of what Saw was going for. So I feel like in service of Saw's story, yeah, I would probably lean towards the bathroom on this one.
Okay.
It really serves it well because, like I said a couple times, it's like if you've ever been to an escape room, it's like that. You got the X on the wall, you got to bust that out to get the thing out. You got the tool, it's got the saws in the pictures. It's like everything here is serving the plot. It's pushing the plot forward in that environment.
Yep. So let's talk about the editing. The editing style of these movies are pretty similar. Both of them have like a music video style when it comes to their editing. So tell me what it is about that particular style with the whole music video editing, why that works better for your film over the other.
Excellent choice. Excellent question. I mean, so it actually stood out to me more so than ever watching Saw how good the editing was from start to finish. And that style was kind of fresh at the time in 2003. It was definitely something, or 2004 rather. It was totally, it was unique and it had its own kind of flair to it. And I think it worked really well in this movie just because it added a little bit of this movie was low budget, but this editing kind of makes it feel a little bit more, it stands out. It gives it something a little bit extra. Like just like whenever Tap and Sing are on the heels of Jigsaw and Sing gets his head blown off, like it does this cool little edit where Tap's reaching out and then it cuts to black and white, or it turns into a still frame and it goes to black and white, and all those little things are really cool. And you see a lot of great edits with the way it transitions from one room to another. Like they're in the interview room of the police station and it pans down and then you're in the bathroom. It looks like the bathroom's like in the basement.
Right underneath,
Yeah, it's got a lot of cool little moments like that. And I think it serves the chaotic nature of this story very well, just with the way the cuts are made and like it just, you know, the fast pace, like it gives you a sense of what the characters are feeling, especially in the bear trap scene with Amanda. She's sitting there, she gets the video played to her from Jigsaw, and then it does the crazy cuts where heads like moving 1,000 miles a minute. It's like it just shows that franticness that she's feeling inside, and I think it does a really good job of doing that and kind of puts you in the mind of the characters a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're not gonna like talk about like the strange ass car chasing.
Well, that's just a scene. That's a low budget thing that they just they did with what they had, and it works. Like it's just the budget of this movie is $1 million, and they spent obviously their budget on effects and things, and getting a couple of well known actors in there. So you don't have the budget to do a legit car chase, and I think it works. It adds a little bit to the flair of the movie a little bit.
Exactly. They didn't have enough money to go and shoot a car chase around the city or anything. That's literally, if you guys don't know, it was shot right outside the warehouse that they shot.
Yeah.
So they had to like edit it to where it looks like they were driving around the whole city. So yeah, I will back them up on that one.
Well, shit. But anyway, besides the point, the editing with I really liked it, like with all the camera angles, and especially when we first saw the collector for the first time, where it was like the camera was on top of the ceiling, like to look down on them. Kind of like shows like them being like very unique and stealthy and all that. So I love that camera shot and like the camera shots they provide in this movie. The lighting is really good because there's this one scene where Arkin is like going in, and then the lightning hits just perfect enough where you see all those like razor sharp wires. So I thought that was a great editing job on that. And then like that's like the main things that really just stand out to me. Like you get dark and gritty, like especially in the basement. With the dad of the family, getting totally messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And like, just like the lighting display on that is just really good. And that's pretty much all I got for the collector on that one.
Yeah. Again, this is another one where I'm just like torn in the middle about, because I think both editing styles work for what the movies, each one is going for. With Saw, it was more of a budgetary thing. They didn't, they finished the film, they were getting ready to start editing, and they realized that they didn't really have enough there, so they had to edit it in a way to where it would be like this music video style. And with the collector, I don't know if that was necessarily the case. Like, I think they did that style of editing on purpose, but at the same time, the editing for both films seemed to work in both of their favors. So I'm kind of torn on this one.
Yeah, I think that's why I think it was a conscious thing for collector, because after Saw came out, obviously they did what they could with what they had. That kind of stuck with all the Saw movies. Even as the budget, increased, you're still doing these kinds of. Yeah, sure did. And I think collector kind of, I not to say they ripped it off, but they took that as motivation, and they kind of used that in their own way.
Sure. Yeah, because even though the editing is still very music video style, the collector's different with its editing than it is with Saw, for sure. So you notice we haven't talked about these villains much yet. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about the villains. You have Jigsaw, who is this guy you know nothing about, and you kind of figure things out a little bit more as the movie goes on. And then you have the Collector, which is a guy you just don't know anything about at all. So tell me,
he loves spiders.
Yes, he loves spiders. So tell me why you find the villain in your film to be more interesting.
Well, I would easily say mine's more interesting because of the not knowing is what brings the intrigue to a villain. Because we didn't know much about Michael Myers because he never spoke. We just heard all these stories, so we're intrigued to him. Again, with the Collector, we hear nothing. Like, nobody knows him. We don't know. We just know it's just a weird guy in the mask with some weird contact lenses in his eye. And just... we don't know why he's torturing the family. The only thing we do know is that guy from the box saying he likes to collect people and he kills everybody else. Why? We don't know why. Again, it's more intriguing that way. And I feel like in the collection, they go a little bit more better detail with that scenario. But you're supposed to do that in the sequel, though, is to expand upon that idea. But in this first one, I just thought I was immediately attracted to the Collector just because with him being unique, having a unique look, having an actual smart villain. So definitely mine's more intriguing.
All right, here we go. Freaking John Kramer is the reason Saul is what it is today. He is a perfect villain in my mind. And it starts off in this first movie. I'm only going to talk about the first movie. I'm not going to get into everything else after because this is just about Saul. Right. And it starts off perfectly because again, it is that intrigue. You don't know anything about this guy. All you know is a voice on a tape recorder, and he's giving instructions to these guys in the room from the beginning. It is absolutely a perfect way to introduce a villain. Something that was so kind of unique at that time, just to have that voice there from the tape recorder. Absolutely great intro. And then it gets in as the story unfolds. You see how smart this guy is. Like you see, like how everything is perfectly constructed, how everything is so thought out. He knows everything about his victims. He knows what they do. He selects his victims based on his motive, which is he wants them to be more grateful to be alive, which is a very interesting motive because it gives you a weird spin on a villain. It's like, okay, I can see why you're doing this, but it's still fucked up, right? So it's like it's a very unique spin. It's very reminiscent of John Doe from Seven. It's the same kind of thing here, where he sees their sins and he's like, okay, here, I'm going to make things better for you guys. So I think that's fantastic, but you don't know anything about him, which adds to that. And then one of my favorite parts about this first Saw movie is the fake bad guy, right? You think it's Tab, or you think it's Zep, as they call you around the office, Zep. You think it's Zep. Like you see him in the house, and like, you know, he's got the victims there, and then
I kill your husband now, Mrs. Gordon.
When did the limits come into this equation? Just kidding.
And I love that aspect of it. And you think it's Tap. No, why do I keep saying that? You think it's freaking Zep. You think it's Zep, and then Dr. Gordon identifies him. He's like, oh, it's Zep. I'm gonna kill you, you bastard. And then he comes in there, and then like you see like the door opens up. Dr. Gordon's he's crawled around. Freaking Adam's dead over there in the corner. The look on his face is fantastic. He's like, oh shit, what did I walk into? And then Adam beats his ass. You're like, oh yeah, they won. And then no, dude, the tape recorder on him. That's like that. And then that just adds another element of how freaking thought out this thing is from Jigsaw. And then obviously the ending is epic. Jigsaw stands up in the back, John Kramer, and it's like, dude, this guy's been in here the whole freaking time. Are you kidding me? And they allude to that in the earlier, like, oh yeah, first front row tickets to his own show and all that, which is great. But he's been in there the whole freaking time, just listening to these guys banter and all this whole thing. Everything. That's genius. And I think he's one of my favorite killers because of that. And just because he does have a motive, but at the same time, you don't know anything about him. And then he creates a creepy ass freaking Billy the Puppet doll to do all the talking for him. And that thing is terrifying, man. One of my favorite looks in horror.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Yeah. And do you mind if I add one more thing to mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
What makes like I enjoyed the villain too, he actually gets to win. And usually when people like horror fans say when he gets to win, meaning, oh, he just kills all the characters and the main character and all that, he wins. Not in this one. He actually kidnaps Arkin, like to collect him as his trophy. So I thought that was, again, very unique as well of why my character is so intriguing.
Yeah. We'll talk about those endings here in a minute because I have a question about that. Again.
Okay. I got a little ahead, man.
You're good. You're good. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say one thing about the collector, man, is I don't know what his goal is, man. I get the intrigue and I like it, and I like him as a character. I'm not hating on him too much, but just to kind of, you know, to defend my case here a little bit, I don't understand what his goal is, because he's got all these freaking seriously lethal traps set out in the house, but his goal is to collect people. So it's like, what the hell, dude? You're not gonna trap anybody in these traps. You're gonna freaking slay their heads off. So it's kind of just like, and then like I don't understand. At one point, he was like freaking out about the girl screaming in the basement, and then the very next scene, he's like making somebody scream to the max to 11. And I'm like, I don't really know if he's worried about screaming or what his goal is here. But it wasn't as clear cut as you would like to see. He's not as creative as Jigsaw. Okay, maybe he's creative, but he's not as smart as Jigsaw.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I feel like mine's more creative.
Yeah, with Jigsaw, he's more like every possible angle has been pre-thought out by him.
Exactly.
And then, but with the collector, he does seem like he can get a little sloppy from time to time.
He's kind of all over the place. He's definitely a little bit more sloppy.
Well, in the collector's defense, he didn't think Arkin was like this, like super aware gene, like kind of like
he was as smart as he was.
Exactly. So like he wasn't prepared for that. He just knew how dumb the family was, and the family fell for every damn trap in the book except for the little girl.
True.
Well, who was he planning on trapping in this household, dude? He was freaking slaying them all, man. Like he freaking. I still can't get over it.
He was trying to determine which one is worthy to collect.
He's kind of a He's kind of a peeping tom too. He's got really excited whenever
when Jill was getting it on.
When you freaking be excited?
Yeah. Again, both brought up some great points on both sides. Brett, you said the collector, he's more mysterious, so that makes him more interesting because you don't know anything about him and stuff like that. Normally, I would agree with you because it's the whole mystery behind that character that, makes that character interesting. However, we're putting the collector up against Jigsaw. And yeah, I'm going to be a little biased on this one. Jigsaw is a more fascinating character to me personally because, again, you also don't really know anything about this guy in the first one, but at the same time, it's that voice. Tobin Bell's voice is just spine-chilling. The fact that he does tell you exactly what's going to happen to you and how you can get out of this. The collector is not that nice about it. Also, his whole philosophy of if you survive one of these traps, you're going to appreciate your life more. And that fact that he thinks he's doing the right thing for everybody. Where I feel as the collector, he's just doing it just to do it. He's just a bad guy. But with Jigsaw, he's in the mindset of what I'm doing is the right thing. So to me, that's more fascinating. And Jigsaw is one of my favorite villains of all time. So I gotta give Jigsaw this one.
Just a quick sidebar is I think Jigsaw also gets and this isn't canon here in our argument, but I think Jigsaw gets even more interesting as the movies go on almost.
Yeah.
Once you figure out more about him and stuff, and he's just awesome. Tobin Bell.
Yeah, that's another thing. As the series, we'll talk about this for a second. But yeah, I know it's not really relevant to this because we're only talking about the first movies. But yeah, the Saw movies, as they go, you find out more and more about John Kramer and who he is and why he's doing what he's doing and why he thinks is the right thing. And granted, that's had more sequels and more time to flesh that out. But again, with the Collector sequel, I know just as much about the Collector in the second one as I do in the first one, pretty much. There's not really much expanded upon when it comes to that character in the sequel. But then again, like I said, we have way more Saw sequels that, used to develop and flesh that out. With the Collector, we only have the one, so maybe that's a little bit unfair. But yeah, absolutely. I see where you're getting at.
And you have freaking Tobin Bell, dude. It's just like, oh yeah, we got to flesh this guy out. So,
yeah. So now let's talk about the ending. We kind of briefly touched on that a minute ago, but both films end with a cliffhanger, a big cliffhanger, the way these movies just end, just in the middle of something big happening. So tell me why your film's cliffhanger was more effective on setting up possible future sequels at the time.
Okay. Well, I'll continue with mine just because I touched upon mine a little bit. The third act kind of starts with Arkin trying to save the little girl who thinks she's a mermaid, which yeah, it's not my room, it's caves. But yeah, it's just finally see everything connect. Arkin, we finally know he's standing his morals. He's going to save the girl and try to get him and her out. And the Collector's not going to make that very easy. And they just have one big brawl in the house, and it was just awesome with how everything Arkin actually using the traps against the Collector. Which is so damn cool to do that.
That's pretty badass, man.
Yeah, and then when Arkin finally gets the girl out and they run to the middle of the road where all those cop cars are, the cop actually hits Arkin. And I was like, oh, shit. Well, so much for protecting the people. And then, of course, the little girl is safe and in police custody, and Arkin's in the ambulance, and we all thought happily after, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. That's where the Collector just rams into that damn ambulance and kidnaps Arkin and traps him inside his little collector box where he puts his victims in. Again, that's just so unique. Because again, if a villain's going to win in a horror movie, they kill the main character. Not in this one. Just kidnaps him and just leaves you with that intrigue. I'm like, oh shit, what the hell's going to happen next? And I think it does a really good job setting up that sequel.
Woohoo. Yeah, Saw to me is one of my favorite endings of all time. And it starts, I mean, it really does start about the time when Dr. Gordon, he figures out his family's in trouble. He starts chopping his foot off. That's when the things really starts picking up. All these things come hammering at you all at once. Like you have Tap, he's chasing Zepp. Got him right this time. He's chasing Zepp. And like it's cutting back to Jigsaw to Gordon freaking out and cutting his foot off. It's like, oh man, is he going to make it before he cuts his foot off? No, obviously he's not. But is he going to make it before he bleeds out? And all this, like it's intense. And then all this stuff starts hitting you at once, and you find out his family's okay, he's safe, but he doesn't care. He's still chopping his foot off anyway. And it builds up to this climax where Zepp comes in, he gets his freaking brains bashed in. It's fantastic. Adam got shot. He comes out for one last scare, bash Zepp, fantastic. And then you get the reveal, right? And all this is edited perfectly, I think, between the cutbacks and everything. But then you get the reveal there of Jigsaw as being of John Kramer, who's been laying there the whole time as the killer. And just the way that the tape plays from Zepp and everything kind of comes together as that tape is playing, is showing all these scenes from previously in the movie. It's like, oh, you should have picked up on this, you idiots. And and then he gets up and he walks out. And Adam's still freaking chained up in there. He's freaking out. Probably the best part of his performance of the movie too is him freaking out over there in the corner. Lights go off. Jigsaw walks out, and he's perfect lighting there too. By the way, he closes the door. Game over. He shuts it, and then it's like the movie's over. Dr. Gordon's off floating around somewhere. We'll find out later he gained a few pounds and saved his foot, but we won't get into that here. When this movie ends, Dr. Gordon, he crawled off. You know he's going to bleed out, probably, more than likely. He's just, his fate is up in the air, which is interesting. I always wondered what happened to him when I was watching the sequels. He was never mentioned again until the end, so that was kind of interesting. But not talking about the sequels. He crawls off. You know he's going to bleed out. Adam's left in the room to rot, just like he said in the tape at the beginning.
I'll leave you in this room to rot.
This will be the room that you die in. It's fantastic, man. And he didn't kill him. He didn't give him that mercy. He just freaking left him there to, you're on your own now, pal. You're gonna sit here and freaking
good luck, buddy.
Yeah, you can eat Zepp here in a couple days, and maybe that'll give you a little bit longer, and maybe get some some water out of that toilet there to live off of. But yeah, that's I mean, I think that's an awesome ending, and it really sets up like, okay, we just now met our freaking killer. We just know what this guy's about. Right. Let's go see what else he's got up his sleeve. Like, you don't know who it is until the very last freaking shot of the movie, and to me that just sets up so much intrigue.
Okay, yeah. Again, so torn on this because I'm gonna be biased a little bit. Saw is my favorite ending of all time. That's all there is to it. There hasn't been an ending that has ever topped that for me. Just everything about that's so perfect. But the question was talking about, what was more effective for setting up for possible future sequels. I honestly don't know. Like, I'm honestly pretty torn because, again, with the collector, they finally make it out of the house. They go to the road. They see the cops and the ambulances and all that stuff like that. And you're like, okay, all is well. Everything's going to be fine. And then, bam, out of nowhere, collector shows back up. All goes to hell again. He puts Arkin in the box. He slams the thing shut. And it's like, damn. Arkin's probably going to get out, but how is the question? Because we've established that Arkin is a smart character, and he's been doing pretty good all around the house for the most part. I mean, he's gone through hell all night, so it's pretty likely he's going to get out of the box. That's what you assume anyway. But you still kind of wanted to see it, right? So that's a good way to set up for a future sequel. With Saw, it just left you with more questions. Again, it's kind of. It gets more crazy as the movie goes on, right? And by the time Dr. Gordon starts sawing off his foot and Adam's freaking out, and then you have that whole thing with Zepp and Tap, things just get crazy. Dr. Gordon cuts his foot off. He's going to go crawling back to his family. At least that's what he's going to try to do. But you also got to remember that he still lost. He didn't win.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the rules were kill Adam by 6. He didn't do that. He lost the game. So I don't know, but yeah, he's definitely. It just took him that long to really start losing it. But with Arkin, as soon as he got in the house and seen shit was going on, seen the family was in trouble, he pretty much was like, okay, I know what I got to do. But then again, it's like, well, what would you do in that situation? You know, but at the same time, yeah, Saw left us with more questions. That Hello Zep theme starts playing, and then the dude who's been dead in the middle of the floor the whole movie gets up from going like, oh shit, he's been there the whole time. Jigsaw likes to book himself front row seats with don't stick little games and all that stuff. The music's really great. And again, as you were talking about the lighting, with just like the green from the hallway behind him, and then like pitch black everywhere else, it's great. Saw left me with more questions. I feel like I wanted to know more about what happened to each of these characters going forward. With the Collector, I feel like obviously I wanted to see a sequel just to see that next the rematch between the Collector and Arkin, of course. But Saw left me with more questions that I wanted the answers to. The Collector, it's like, yeah, I figure Arkin's gonna get out. That's just what I assume, because that's the character that we've established. With Saw, it's like, okay, who is this guy really? How long has he been doing this? Now that he's done with this game, is he gonna keep continuing? Like, what's his whole reason? Like, what happened to Dr. Gordon? We assume he bled out, but did he really? I don't know. Is Adam gonna make it out? There was just all these questions at the end of the first movie that, to me, Saw still kind of takes this round, but not because it's my favorite ending of all time, but because that I was more curious about seeing a sequel for Saw than I was for the Collector, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Totally.
Can I make an observation? Because I agree that Saw does leave you with a lot of questions. And my main question is, how come the hell Dr. Gordon didn't take off his freaking shirt and use it to go get that cell phone?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's the question.
He could have avoided cutting off his foot and all kinds of shit.
Well, yeah, that's always freaking killed me, man. I'm like, no, dude, you just needed to reach a little bit harder and get it, man. But he got frantic, he panicked, and he freaking lost his mind, and you could see that in his performance. One thing I did want to point out real quick that I forgot to mention is and it's just a little bit of tidbit as far as Dr. Gordon's ultimate ending, not his actual ending that happened in part 7, but watching the first movie here,
the last time we see him.
Yes, he chops his foot off. He's bleeding. He turns whiter than freaking his shirt, and like he's the effects, they were fantastic, by the way. And he crawls off, but again, going back to earlier, he has no idea where the hell he's at. Even if he gets out of the bathroom, yeah, exactly. Like he's totally screwed. And
to be fair, Arkin's in a box, so he doesn't really have a choice. So,
yeah, I mean, it is. It's just something I just remember thinking that the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, he's gonna make it, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, he doesn't even have a clue where he's at, and he's pretty much dead already. So yeah, I don't feel good about his ending here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Again, with Saw, you just want to know what happened to these characters. Where are these characters going to go now? With Dr. Gordon, it's like, is he going to make it out? With Adam, it's like, is he going to make it out of the bathroom, or is he going to just die of starvation or whatever? Again, you have all these questions about Jigsaw, and with the Collector, yeah, it ends when he always takes one, but it ends when he's putting Arkin in the box. And if you guys don't know, if you guys didn't stick around, there's a little stinger at the end of the credits of the Collector. Arkin is in a box. It shows Arkin in the box, and he's screaming. He's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you!" And then we see the Collector like looking at pictures of a different house, so his setting up for his next possible victim. And then the Collector just kind of kicks the box and is like, "Shut up." But yeah. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I wanted to see a second Collector movie just to see a rematch, but I also wanted to see a second Saw movie because I needed answers. So if that makes sense. So yeah, I gotta give this one to Saw though.
And you wanted to see Jigsaw freaking get caught, man. It's like, oh man, he just walked away free, and nobody's ever gonna find Adam.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
the collector walked free too and kidnapped the guy.
That's true.
Yeah, he did. He did do that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's all I had, guys.
All right, dude.
So we're out of the debate mode.
Yep.
I did want to mention one thing.
No, go right ahead.
It's the fact that fish hook situation there up in the upstairs room is that alone would have taken 10 hours to hang all this up, and I just don't see.
Oh, you're talking about the Collector?
That's a good point. It's like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I kind of feel like he was setting up some of this stuff as he was going along. Like
Well,
as
some of them.
as Arkin was moving around the house, like I feel like there was certain things that Collector was still putting together. So, but
Right.
yeah, I don't. Yeah,
It's like I love the traps though. Like it's just funny to me because of how crazy it's like he picks up a phone and he stabs his ear.
it's like
And
Yes.
it's like every little but it is funny, and this is just me throwing a little bit of shade at your movie. It's just funny to me that Arkin breaks into the house, gets all the way up to the vault, doesn't run into a single trap, and then he realizes there's traps there, and in every freaking corner,
yeah.
every single direction he goes, he's getting.
Well,
his ears
it's like
stabbed.
as you said that he could be setting up as it's going along.
Well, he could be, but at that point, he already had everybody like captured. He had the freaking, he had the dude downstairs, and he was already getting torn up, and then the mom was already down there, freaking getting gagged and everything. So I thought he was occupied. It was just funny. It's not a big deal. I just had to throw a little bit of shade over there your way at the end here.
Well, sure. If we're going to throw a little shade, what about your freaking acting by Adam?
Hey, he's a writer, damn it. I
Dude,
actually love.
that was brutal to watch. Like I know
Okay.
he's not actually an actor, but like, just
Low
that was
budget.
brutal to watch.
At
man.
that point,
Now
yeah, right.
That point though, I like that. That doesn't bother me because he's acting within a performance. Like he's
Right.
trying to act as Adam, not acting
He's
as an
acting
actor.
within the acting. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And he's already not a good actor, but then you add that in, it just adds a little bit of comedic relief for you at that point, honestly, to me. And but then like
I
immediately
don't
after,
want it to be comedic though.
but then
it does
immediately,
but it does let you take a breath from everything that's going on. For
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. A movie
and then
does need to
immediately
breathe.
after that, he gets zapped, and you can actually see him actually act and be in
Mhm.
pain there for a
Yeah.
second, and it's not ridiculous. I mean, it's believable. So yeah, I think I just thought some of the traps were kind of. I mean, the traps were such a good time in Collector, but some of it's just kind of funny with the way, like how they're.
How long did it take this guy to set up
Ex-
this? Right.
Yeah, I'm sitting here imagining him trying to hang up all these fish hooks. And I'm like, God damn it, the freaking tape keeps falling off. And oh damn, I just stabbed my own arm. Oh shit. And it's like, by the time that's over with, that would have been done.
Yeah, that's the other thing is how did the Collector not walk into his own traps from time to time? I mean, it's bound to happen.
Because they're
Because
literally
he knows where his traps are.
Well,
they're like
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, but with everything going on with Arkin and the way that Arkin's putting up a good fight, like how did he not accidentally fall into one of his traps though? It's just
Because he's
I like
smart.
the between the freaking fish hooks and the bear traps though. I would have given up. I would have been
Yeah,
like,
it's
I can't do any more traps today.
You
I'm
know
gonna
what,
have to-
man?
Well,
You
the
just-
freaking
That's a full work
razor
day.
blade windows. Yeah, like
Yeah. There's a lot of traps in there, dude.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, I'm done now. I just had to throw this out there. We can talk about the traps some more in a positive light.
One shot I really did like about the Collector that I just want to talk about real quick is that shot when, again, Arkin realizes that something's going on in the house a little bit. He goes back downstairs. He's walking down like the living room or whatever, and there's that shot of lightning, and then you just see like all the tripwires everywhere. You're like, damn, that's pretty cool. So I just wanted to mention that and give that a nice little shout out there.
mhm.
Yeah, the traps were absolutely, yeah, they were everywhere, man. And it was just the phone one. That one got me.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
Like,
It's like,
ow.
oh, damn.
But yeah, since we're all good now, damn, I love Saw. When I was watching freaking Saw, I'm like, I'm so screwed.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry, Brett, but if we would have put
No, don't be sorry because like Saw is almost a near perfect film. I had to find like the smallest of nitpicks.
if we would have put a music question in there, you had no chance on that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Chance
that-
in hell, 'cause
like-
that- and plus that third act, the first time I watched it, I went,
It's yeah.
holy shit.
That's a
Like,
stand on your seat in the theater and scream moment. And
Yeah.
nobody would care because it's like, yeah, I get it.
that's one reason I watched the movie so many times is because I always watched it with people who've never seen it, and I would just watch the reaction at the end. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is good.
yeah,
used-
Brad knows.
I watched that franchise from start to finish probably like freaking 30 times in college, just showing other people
Yeah,
the story here.
it's great seeing the
And-
reactions as it unfolds.
Yeah, man. I like what was it? The I'm excited about Saul, man. I'm excited to talk more about Saul going forward,
Mhm.
just because it is fantastic. Brett, you're right.
Mhm. Yeah, like again, I like if I'm rating it, like I gave it like a kind of like for what we do, 4.75. But if I were to actually rate it, it'd be like a 4.9. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's-
that close to a
Yeah.
near perfect film.
Mhm. Yeah. Again, with Saw, we have that twist ending, and it's great. And I love a great twist ending. But what's cool about twist endings is if they're done well, is you have this twist that blows your mind the first time. You go back and rewatch it, and you see everything. It's like, oh yeah, it's all been there the whole time.
Mhm.
But Saw does this great thing where it does that nice little montage thing. Anyway, just to show you, it's like, hey, remember all this stuff? So that's cool.
Remember all this, you dumb fucks? Like,
Pretty much. It's like, how did I not pick up on that? But and then with the Collector, I just like the way that ends because, like, oh, neither of these guys are going to give up. Like, they are both fighting to the death. They both just, they're not going to stop. So, yeah, I mean, both of the endings are great for sure.
Yeah, totally. And Saul does a good job. Every ending in the freaking franchise is freaking banging, man. I mean, some of them,
especially by like the sixth one. The sixth one in the franchise is like, okay, I should know what to look out for by now, and they still find a way to get you. Like, got me again, damn it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Every single time, I love it. It's what's so much fun. I watch the franchise just for the endings, man. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. So, but yeah, is there anything else y'all want to bring up?
No, I think that's it. Brett, do you want to do our coin toss for the next one?
Go ahead, flip that coin. You know me, I'm always going to call tails.
Okay. It's heads again.
We need a new coin technique.
It's rigged.
Yeah, it's just like him flipping up. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to catch it." Where it's the heads, bam. Nah, I'm just kidding with you, but no, good stuff. We're still under discussion about what the next Slash It Out episode is going to be. Once we know, we'll announce it. But Chris, you did an amazing job as a moderator today, asking great questions and to give great insights within each of those questions. And we appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we finally had you here.
I know.
Yeah, like we finally got you for Star Wars Saturday, and then now we finally got you here. Like, we fixed the biggest wrong of our channel. So.
Yep, absolutely, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And can't wait to do another one down the road, man. Great moderation. Thank
you.
Great moderation indeed. So I'm going to go ahead and...
Oh, wait, Brett. I got to say something. I said, now that we're done with this thing and your boy won, I think you should have totally thrown in, just to get back from the last episode, you should have thrown some shade at Mrs. Gordon for not blasting Zepp away when she had the gun pointed at him. But whatever. We'll just we'll leave that for what it is, and we'll just go from
she
there.
could have at least shot his feet so he couldn't move.
Oh yeah, the mother frustrated the hell out of me.
Yes. But even if you would have said that, Bert, I wouldn't have let you make that point. I would have said no.
Well, you're lucky if I even
you're not allowed to make that
point because I had it written down.
Which, how great! I feel like we haven't talked about this because it didn't really come up. But how great was Dr. Gordon's daughter in this movie? Like, I thought.
Oh, she was great.
Was awesome, and even the performance of the girl in the Collector as well. She's good too for what that movie is. But her performance, like, she sold me on being scared. And then that shot, that Billy from Black Christmas shot of like Zepp's eye.
Yeah,
it's great stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick for sure.
I can see you.
I can see you. And then he's like, "Don't look at me. I can't help you." Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, all of it's great stuff. So you ready for me to end this game?
Yeah, go ahead, Bert.
All right, let's end this game. So, guys, what did you all think about this Slash Out? Are you on Team Collector on my side, or are you on Team Collector, or not Collector, Saul on Brad's side? Let us know in that comment section down below, and let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want to help us find the good reels, you can do so by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, Snapchat. There's what's the other one? Yeah, Spotify and Apple freaking Podcast. Those links will be in the description. We're also going to have links down here for Chris's channel, which is freaking awesome too. So be sure to go check him out. He does a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, he does. With Creeping It Real and his movie nights, all the great stuff. So hop on over to the House of the Living Dead YouTube channel and let's support those guys. Let's support Chris and everyone.
Yes.
And you can support us too by be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. And of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you know when the next video is up and running.
And we will. See you guys soon.
This is where we do the finger point, Chris. Do the finger
This is
point, finger point, finger point.
Hello,
See you
Bert.
guys.
Or as they call you around the office, Bert.
He calls me Bert.